Alright, so the full list for EB01, the Memorial Collection, is officially out. It's been out for a while now. But the official website, the Singapore version at least, the Asia version, has not been updated yet with the correct English translations. But luckily for us over here, we can use One Piece Top Decks, one of my good friends in the TCG scene. He does Digimon Top Decks, One Piece Top Decks as well. And the site has the English translations for all the cards. So thank you so much, man, for having this ready when like even the main company itself didn't do it. So, all right. So we are going to go through every single card in EB01 in this video. I'm not going to split it by color for this video because it's a smaller card pool, but we will talk about how well each card performs in certain decks. So I'm going to split it into like playable or meta playable and the unplayables. But in the playable section, where and like which leaders does it shine in, which archetype does it shine in, we're going to talk about that way. So gonna kick it off right now, starting with the red cards. Of course, we've already talked about Oden, the leader himself, but if you want to watch the breakdown on the leaders themselves, there is a video on the channel of me talking about the leaders, so I won't go through them. So I won't go through the leaders again, but I just want to show, look at that Oden alternate art, man, damn. Like this art is so great because all of the Akazaya 9 is facing like one direction except for one of them. And it's a very great attention to detail canon story-wise. So anyway, let's start with the first card, which is Izo, 5 cost, 7000 power, and has an on-play ability of attach up to 1 Vested Dawn to your leader or one of your characters. And on opponent attacks, once per turn, you may trash 1 card from your hand. If your leader has the Land of Wano or Whitebeard Pirates type, give up to one of your opponent's leader or character minus 2000 power for this turn. So this card actually is super playable, first of all. Definitely a meta playable card, but not only in a traditional like a red-green Oden deck, which is what this that card wants to be part of. It also performs admirably well in the Whitebeard Pirate. So not only Whitebeard, but Ace can use it as well. And it's actually really quite good because first of all, on play, giving a Vested Dawn to one of your leader or one of your characters, just a way to kind of boost them up and attack particularly really well with Oden, but you could give it to Whitebeard, make him a 7k. But the second ability is to give something minus 2000 power. So it's an inbuilt, just for one card, maybe a card with no counter preferably that you are discarding. It's like an inbuilt 2k counter, so to say. Izo, definitely a meta playable card. It is rare for a reason. And yeah, I can't wait to see the meta shift and include some copies of Izo. I think Whitebeard may come back, depending if this card will make an impact, but it'll still be good. But yeah, it works well with this Oden leader because you can give Oden the Dawn 1, and when Oden attacks, you have a cost 5 or higher one of country card. I don't know Wano, but yeah, one of country. So you will be able to proc Oden's ability and get the additional 1000 power to the start of your next turn. So very powerful stuff. Next is Kid and Killer. I tell you, like Red has not a lot of powerful cards, but this one is really good and one of my favorite cards from EB01, and I would say a new red staple, hopefully. 4 cost, 5000 power. It's Kid and Killer. It has Rush, and when attacking, if your opponent has 2 or less life cards, this character gains plus 2000 power during this turn. So it becomes a 4 cost, 7000 power attacker with Rush when your opponent is at 2 or less life. This is one of Red's answers to something like Sakazuki, who likes to bottom deck or KO your characters. So being able to drop this down, swing in, and be at a higher power than usually like Borsalino, Sabo, the blockers, then that's really quite good. And you don't have to put 2 Dawns onto Kid and Killer to reach that 7k stat line. You can just make sure that Sakazuki is at 2 or less life. And I'm really excited about this card. The alternate art looks great as well. And hopefully this kind of brings back that aggressive red strategy that has been kind of falling out of the meta. I know in English, the recent European championships, there were a lot of red decks, Zoro decks that came into the meta game because Sakazuki was a big feature of it, obviously. But in the end, Sakazuki was still top 4. But hopefully cards like this tend to boost the power of Zoro decks or any red-based decks that likes to go a little bit harder, a little bit more aggressive. So that's great. Kid and Killer, really like that card. It's also rare for a reason. All right, next we have Koza. 2 cost, 3000 power with counter 1000. When attacking, you may give one of your active leaders minus 5000 power, give up to one of your opponent's characters power minus 3000 for this turn. Obviously, this is meant to be played in VV because you want VV can't attack, and you're giving it minus 5000 power. Doesn't really matter because it's not attacking anyway. Just to give something minus 3k, not the best card. I would say this is it's hard to say. Some decks of VV players who would want to make Koza work can play this, but in the overall scheme of in the meta game, I think this is an unplayable card because there are better ways, more efficient ways to give minus 3000 power to something. For red, that's like the Fire Daruma card, and for red and purple has the Gamma Knife to give something minus power as well. So you don't need to get that minus 5000 to your active leaders. Unless you are specifically using VV, then yeah, maybe you want to play around with Koza, but yeah, I think it's not playable because I don't think VV is playable. Like famous last words, I don't know, EB01 might change that. So we have Doma, 1 cost 3000 power with counter 1000 vanilla, affiliated with the Whitebeard Pirates. I think it's the Whitebeard Pirates Alliance is the subtype, so part of that crew. We got Chopper next. Here's Manga Chopper, and here's the super rare Chopper. So Chopper is interesting. 3 cost 4000 power counter 1000, has blocker, and Dawn 2 when attacking, give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 3000 power during this turn. So yeah, this I am not really sure on the power level of it. Yes, it has blocker, so you know it has its use. But giving something minus 3000 power when you're attacking, it's something that red doesn't see nowadays. You know, compared to like the early days of OPO1, OPO2 metagame when you are reducing power or something and then KOing with Nico Robin. The interesting thing about Chopper is that it has the animal sub trait, and there are some other event cards that we're going to talk about later that cares about animal subtraits, and also some rumors coming to OPO8, but I won't address it because it's too far away. But yeah, Chopper, very collectible card, even the regular super rare artwork. But whether it's a playable card remains to be seen. There may be some decks that could use it, some leaders that can use it, but for now I think red has better blockers, better ways to give minus power. So I'll put it into the unplayable side for now. Still a really good card though. Alright, next we got Yamato. 5 cost 5000 power with counter 2000. Activate main once per turn, give up to 1 Rested Dawn to your leader or one of your characters. This card is playable in the fact that it has 2k counter alone, so every 2k counter would find its way into decks if people want to use it. But this is actually a really great ability to use with Kozuki Oden, because you can give the Rested Dawns to Oden and then activate the ability, because Yamato is a Wano Country or Land of Wano type character. It will proc Oden's effect, and it's a 2k counter, searchable with Momonosuke as well, so really quite good. Yeah, I think Yamato is definitely playable. So now let's move on to Little Oz Jr. 6 cost, 7000 power counter 1000. Once per turn, if this character will be KO'd by an effect, you may trash an event or stage card from your hand instead. I would definitely rank this in the more playable side. First of all, just another weapon that Blackbeard can use. Ace can use potentially as well. 6 cost, 7000 power is a very good stat line with counter 1000, and you have the ability to prevent it from being KO'd by any Sakazuki effects for once a turn. Doesn't say leave the battlefield, so you can still bottom deck it. I wish it did, but if it were to be KO'd by something like a reduced cost and then Rob Lucci, or reduced cost and then Gecko Moria into like Absalom or something, then you can kind of avoid one of the KO activations. It still doesn't, you can't protect it when it's being attacked. You can't use the effect to save it from being KO'd by an attack, but you can counter out of it. So I would say this is playable. If Whitebeard comes back, this is another weapon that they can use. Ace can use this as well. So now let's move on to the red event cards, starting with Shut Up and Come With Us. This is the iconic moment in the Drum Kingdom where Luffy recruits, Chopper. So it's a counter. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck and put up to 1 cost 3 or less animal type character into play, then place the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. So this is a way for you to not only search out the Chopper that we talked about earlier, but you can put it directly into play. with this card. I am not a fan of counter searches. That's one thing, but you know you can. I think you can only put the cost tree from the 5 cards that you see. So yeah, we'll get more clarity on the ruling, but I believe that's how it works. Like you don't. It's not like a what's that? Like a holy Om Holy combo where you can play the holy from your hand. This I think maybe at the top 5 of cards, but if there is a dedicated animal type deck, which actually does exist in a mono red Zoro, a very aggressive, Karoo. You got your Chopper now. You have like all the little animals. Karoo being one of them. You can use them in conjunction with Zoro, and then this gets you your units even faster, and you can just swarm the board, keep swinging for 5k. This could be an interesting deck, honestly. Now that I think about it. Yeah, but we gotta see more animal type characters. There is some from OPO4, the Karoo crew, the Duckbill squad. Gotta have to test it whether this is worth playing. But it's a decent card. I'm just not a fan of searcher counters, evidently, by the Doflamingo one. I think that was not a very commonly used card at all. This, on the other hand, maybe Zoro, Zoo Zoro. Let's go. All right, next up we have There Is No Way You Could Defeat Me, a very iconic moment in the Water 7 arc. 3-cost event counter. KO up to one of your opponent's characters with an original power of 6,000 or less. This is great. This is a great card because it says original power of 6,000 or less. So that means when your opponent's attacking, put some dons onto, let's say, like a big character, make it above 7, make it above 6,000 power or something. But the original base power is like 5k. You can use this, KO it immediately. And the trigger ability is KO one of your opponent's characters with an original power of 5,000 or less. Yeah, it's a 3-cost counter, so it's a big ass for sure. Usually 2-3-cost counters, 2-cost counters will see play if it's like really good, like Punk Gibson, like there's a lot. The purple event that gives minus 3,000 power to 2 of your opponent's leader or characters. This 3-cost, it's a huge ask to leave up Dawn, 3 Dawn especially. So I don't think this is as playable as it seems. It's a cool card, it's a cool counter, but I will put it in the unplayable, or people won't probably give a slot to this compared to some other events out there. And the last one is Mini Mary. Look at it, so cute. So it's a 1-cost stage card. Yeah, so activate main, you may invest this card and place one of your character cards with an original power of 1,000 on the bottom of your deck. Draw 1. So there are some cards not in this set, or maybe not in red, that have 1,000 power that you can bottom deck. For now, I'm gonna say that this is unplayable unless I see cards that will benefit from this effect. For now, I don't see it. If you know any cards that work well with Mini Mary the second, please let me know in the comment section below, because right off the top of my head when I'm reviewing this, I'm not looking at all the older cards. So I don't know, maybe there may be a deck that works well with it, but for now I'll say it's unplayable. Ability to draw a card at the cost of one of your character cards. Maybe a mini, really small Zoo Zoro that you have attacked with, and then bottom deck it to draw 1. Could be, I don't know. All right, now let's move on to the green cards. So the green card starts with Cavendish. 5-cost, 6,000 power with counter 1,000. On play, when attacking, if your leader is a supernova type and you have no other Cavendish on the field, activate 2 Dawn or restand 2 Dawns. So I have seen gameplay of this card in the new Jewelry Bonnie from OPO7. If you want to know about that, go watch the OPO7 leader video. Yeah, it's good. This card is good because on play you get 2 Dawns back, so you can put it into using your Bonnie searcher. You can attach the Dawns to one of your other leaders or characters and attack with it, or you can save up 1 Dawn to use with Jewelry Bonnie's ability. Very good. And then when attacking, you can do that as well. So Cavendish, I think, is going to be like the new green card that people will play in a Supernova base deck. Red Green Luffy can use him. Red Green Law potentially, I don't know, maybe. I think Red Green Law could. I think this would be very interesting, Red Green Law. But people would have to kind of figure out the right ratios. I'm not a Red Green Law player, Don't ask me for advice on that, but all the pros will definitely try it out. And I'm excited to see how they make use of Cavendish in a Red Green Law type deck. A really powerful card. This is definitely playable. And speaking of the next playable card is Kozuki Hiyori. 4 cost 0 power with counter 1000. Activate main. You may place this card into your trash. Starting off real strong. Place up to 1 cost 5 or less land or 1 type character other than Kozuki Hiyori from your hand into play, then draw 1 card. So this is a great way if you're going second with Odin and you are at your 4 Dawn turn, you play down Kozuki Hiyori, you trash it immediately, you play out a 5 cost, let's say Izo or was it Denjiro from OPO1? Yeah, the 5 cost 7000 power, and then you play it out and then you get to draw 1. So in this situation, yeah, you would want a way to kind of accelerate your 5 cost characters by playing down Kozuki Hiyori first, trashing it, and then drawing 1. So it's a good way to kind of get card draw and play out your big stuff. At the same time, even in the later game, you can still use this for card draw and play out your stuff, your 5 cost characters easily. So yeah, Kozuki Hiyori definitely playable. Next we got Sanji. It's just a 4 cost 5000 power with counter 2000. Dawn 1 during your turn. For every 3 rested Dawn on your field, this character gains plus 1000 power. Of course, I gotta call out that this is a film Sanji, film Straw Hat Crew. So yeah, definitely playable in the sense that it's 2k counter. You can slot it into the green Uta, film Uta, green Doflamingo. You can slot it into red green, film Luffy if you want to. Any film package, any leaders, green leaders that can use the film package, Sanji can go into it. So definitely playable. It presents a very interesting way to boost its power, because let's say you have 9 rested Dawns and you have 1 Dawn remaining and you attach it to Sanji and you attack with it, it's a 9k. Right, 3, because you get 9 rested Dawn, so you get plus 3k power, plus 1 more from the Dawn, 4 cost 9k. So in that situation, yeah, Sanji could be quite useful. It is playable. You can play it out with Luffy, 7 cost Luffy blocker's ability. So play that, play out Sanji. In a pinch, if you need more attackers on the field, then Sanji can come in clutch. But other than that, you can use it as a 2k counter. So that's good. Next, we got Scratchman Apu. 1 cost 1000 power, counter 2000, and on play, rest up to one of your opponents, cost 2 or less characters. Yeah, this is definitely playable. First of all, counter 2000. This could potentially replace the old Apu in a Supernova deck. Poor Apu doesn't get any leader card just yet, but it does have a 2k counter in the older what's that? The Used to Skate starter deck, and then now Scratchman Apu gets a new one, EB01. Very versatile in the sense that you can KO 2 or less character, so that's pretty good, I would say. So in a situation where you need to rest a 2 cost blocker, there's still some floating out there. Yeah, potentially, you could with Apu. I would still say this is playable. And if you are using it in something like the Perona, green black, you can rest, reduce cost or something, and then rest it with Apu, so it gives more utility that way. But anyway, it is a playable card, super searchable with a Supernova and a 2k counter. So next is Bingo. 1 cost 0 power with counter 1000. Activate main, you may rest this character, KO up to one of your opponents, cost 1 or lower rested characters. So this one, yeah, I would say it's on the unplayable side, because it is asking for a lot. Resting this character, your opponent's characters has to be cost 1 or lower, and it has to be rested. So I would say it's unplayable in that sense. But in terms of what decks could use it, Perona, green black, same thing. You can rest with Perona's leader ability, you access to black, you can minus cost or something, and then you play this down and you can KO it. So in that case, if you have the right cards in setup, this could be a silver bullet. But outside of that, I don't see how powerful this can be. I might be wrong, but I'll put it as unplayable unless you have the right pieces in Perona. Next we get Bueno. Look at him, the film Bueno. 2 cost 2000 power, counter 1000, and has blocker. So yeah, playable because it has blocker. Film cards can use this, and it's cute. Next up, we got Yamasan, 5 cost 7000 power, counter 1000. This is a 5 cost 7000 vanilla, but it does have the animal subtrait as well. So if there is a way that you can utilize a green animal based deck, you can, but it does have the Wano Country sub-trait as well. So you could potentially play this out with Oden. You can Kozuki, technically you can Kozuki Hiyori into it, right? Yeah. So could be useful in a sense. It is a 7,000 power. I miss the vanilla days, man. So Oden players, potentially an option for you. That's great. All right, next up are the green event cards. This is a off-white 2-cost counter. Give out to one of your leader or characters power plus 4,000 for this battle. Then look at the top 3 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 Don Quixote Pirates type character card and add it to your hand, then the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. This is a pretty decent event card, I would say. Definitely playable. First of all, it is a 2-cost plus 4k, so fairly standard. But the ability to search. Now, I do say that I don't like counter searches, but if it's tagged to something that's already doing such a great job, 2-cost 4,000 power, yeah, definitely. I mean, like, this is pretty good. So it does have a little something for Film Doflamingo. Like, if you're playing a green deck that uses Don Quixote Pirates, this is something that you can consider as well. Perona could play this actually, because Perona looks for like, the 10-cost Dofi. This could be a potential, I would say. All right, next up is Shambles. It's a 1-cost event card. Main, if your leader has a supernova type, return one of your characters to its owner's hand and put up to 1 cost 2 or less character of a different color than a return card from your hand into play. Trigger abilities activate this card's main effect. So it's another tool for red-green law actually. This would be interesting. I know a lot of people are excited about Shambles. I've seen some comments on like Twitter, and people are excited to try and make this work. I think that red-green law could potentially use this, you know, returning a playing Jewelry Bonnie, search for Jewelry Bonnie, use Shambles, return Jewelry Bonnie to your hand, play out a Nami, and then you get to search twice with like 2 Dawns essentially. That's actually pretty good. I mean, you could do that. You could just play out the Nami straight, but you get to return the Jewelry Bonnie back to your hand where it's safe, it's unrested. Yeah, you know what? Shambles could be a good addition to Red Green Law. I'm excited to see what Law players make, like how they make this work. But yeah, more searches. Yeah, I think that's the case. We won't talk about Hannibal. Already talked about leader, so we're moving on to blue now. This is gonna be a long video. 6-cost 7,000 power, counter 1,000, and at the end of your turn, if you have 2 or less cards in hand, draw 2 cards. We already talked about Inazuma in the super rare video. Works well with Ivankov, definitely playable. So now we're gonna move on to Edward Weevil. 4-cost 6,000 power, no counter, but on play draw a card. Doflamingo is back on many boys. So this is good actually in Doflamingo, like blue Doflamingo from OP01. Just this 1 card alone. If you can play it out early, draw 1 card, and then it's a 4-cost 6,000 power. Like Dofi, this does exactly what Dofi wants you to do by playing out a big body or a 4-cost body and then drawing a card on top of that. Definitely playable. I think this may revive some old Doflamingo players back into the metagame. Next up, we got Hamlet. 3-cost 4,000 power, counter 1,000. If you have 4 or fewer cards in your hand, all your Smile characters gets plus 1,000 power. So yeah, Beast Pirates and Smile. I don't really see a lot of Smile players at all. You could potentially, you know, with all the Smile archetype, but so now I'm just gonna say unplayable until we have a dedicated Smile leader. Hoping for a Caesar Clown in the future, but yeah, definitely unplayable. Next up, we got Fortrix. 3-cost 5,000 power. We counter 1,000. Playable because it's a vanilla. And look at the hair. Why wouldn't you want to play this guy? Moving on to Prince Bellet from Impel Down. If you're unsure who this is the guy that tried to shoot Ivankov. For the first time we met Ivankov, and turns into a woman. 2-cost 2,000 power with counter 2,000. Don 1 when attacking. If you have 1 or less cards in your hand, return up to 1 character with cost of 3 or less to the owner's hand. It's a 2k counter. You can use it to return a character. So maybe in the future, Boa Hancock leader or PO7, this could be an option for you to play. But it is a searchable Impel Down card. So like Buggy can search this and it's a 2k counter. So yeah, definitely playable in that regard. Next, we got Mr. One, Mr. Daz Bones. 5-cost 6,000 power with counter 1,000. If your leader's type include Baroque Works, this character gains plus 1,000 power for every 2 event cards in your trash. On play, draw 2 cards and trash 1 card from your hand. Definitely a playable card. That second ability alone, it's a queen. It's a functional queen reprint without the blocker. I wish they did this for every single color, in every single set moving forward, so that we don't have to play queen anymore and the price will drop down. But I think Noah said it best. If Sakazuki didn't exist, this would actually be a really good mini finisher, because if you can get it to stick on 1 turn or 2 turns and you can fuel up your events, this is actually a really solid card as a finisher, because you can get it's a stronger version of the old Mr. 1, but the stat line is actually pretty decent. But there's so many bottom deck cards. You got Sanzen Sakai, 3000 Worlds, you got like Red Rock that people have not been using, but in the future will be using with like Boa Hancock. Then this will be a target for removal. But still, the on-playability is like playable on its own. So this is just gravy on top of gravy. So definitely a playable card. Excited to see Blue Purple Crocodile take it back with Das Bones. Let's go. And yeah, next we go to the blue event cards. This is Gomu Gomu no Champion Rifle. 1 cost event counter. If your leader has the Impel Down type, give it to one of your leader or characters plus 2000 power during this battle. Then your opponent returns one of your active characters to the owner's hand. That's actually pretty good, no? I'm reading this for the first time. It's my first time seeing this card. Then your opponent returns. So your opponent chooses, right, one of your active characters to the owner's hand. And if your opponent only has 1, then you just immediately just return that card to the hand with 1 cost. I could see a world where this is like a 4-off in like Ivankov. Yeah, then you can kind of stack it now. If your opponent has like 2 characters on the field, one is like a searcher, one is like a really powerful guy, you use 2 of this to return back the searcher to your hand, but you can return out the big guy as well. Yeah, this is a pretty decent card. I mean, this is a good card, playable card. Trigger, return up to 1 cost 3 or lower character to the bottom of his own stack. Yeah, okay. Then your opponent returns one of the active characters. As long as the card is active, you can do this. That's good. That's actually kind of good. Okay, moving on to Sorry I'm Dead. 1 cost, counter, reveal the top card of your deck. If the reveal card has cost of 4 or more, return one of your characters to your hand. Then place the reveal card on the bottom of your deck. The trigger ability is to return up to 1 cost 8 or less characters to its owner's hand. Okay, interesting enough. So first of all, I think you can use this in Boa Hancock in the future. Everything like goes back to Boa, but you could potentially. You could use this in. Can you use this in Nami? No, not really. But yeah, I'm trying to see where you would want to use this. But outside of like something like Boa, I don't see it being used anywhere else. So I'm not sure. Like, okay, let me know where Sorry I'm Dead will slot into. Maybe the blue Luffy leader? I don't know. Alright. For now I'll say it's unplayable, but prove me wrong because I don't know. Next we got Loketown. 2 costs, stage card. Activate main. You may place this card and 1 card from your hand on the bottom of your deck in any order. Draw 2 cards. Trigger, play this card. If you can keep track of the cards that go to the bottom of your deck and the order that it's in, this is a crazy good card in Nami, because you can put like the events that you want at the bottom so you can get ready when it's meal or you draw it. Like if you can time it perfectly, then yeah, this is another way for you to churn through the deck. You draw 2 cards, see more cards, but you put 2 that you don't need just yet at the bottom of the deck, and then when the time comes and you're looking for draws and counters, then you can draw it. But I don't think Nami players will use this because the events already does the job really well. But potential, you know, potentially it has the trigger ability to play this card, so potentially, I don't know. I would say this as a fringe playable in Nami if they want to play it. All right, now we move on to the purple cards. All right, we are 32 minutes in. This is going to be a long one. So 5 cost, 5000 power. It's Khalifa. We've gone to 1000. It's the Water 7 and Galila Company Khalifa. So on play on -1, if your leader has the Water 7 type, return up to 2 cost 4 or less characters from your trash to your hand. 100% playable. This is similar to the Guild Sorrow card in purple in OPO 6. Yeah, sorry. The one that you can use in the film Uta. Yeah, being able to draw 2 just by Dawn -1, definitely very, very good. Unfortunately, the leader, Iceberg, is not. So, yeah, playable. Maybe we'll get another Water 7 leader. Maybe we'll get a purple Frankie Water 7 leader. How about that? And then this will be really playable in that. But in Iceberg, the leader is not playable. Anyway, we got the Wolf Army, 5 cost 7,000 power with counter 1,000, part of Animal and Impel Down. So if you want to play this vanilla, you can. Trying to think, Magellan, does Magellan want to play this? I don't know, probably not. But you have the option to. Next up is Blueno, 4 cost 5,000 power with counter 1,000. On play, Dawn -1. If your leader has the Water 7 type, play up to 1 cost 5 or lower Water 7 type character card other than Blueno from your trash or hand. This is actually pretty good. This is another way for you to accelerate. You can use Iceberg ability to play Blueno and then Blueno's ability to play something else. And then because it's 4 costs, you can get it back with Khalifa. Interesting. Maybe Iceberg is not F tier anymore. Could be coming back. Yeah, I would say this is definitely a playable card. And this might make Iceberg worth playing if you can kind of bot Swarm in like turn 1 or turn 2. Interesting. Okay, playable. Alright, next up, Miss Wednesday. 3 cost 4,000 power, counter 1,000. Blocker on opponent attack once per turn, Dawn -1. If your leader type includes Baroque Works, add up to 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck and set it as active. Definitely a playable card, especially in blue, purple Crocodile. Can't wait to see this card being worked. Because 3 cost 4,000 and a blocker, good stuff. But being able to indirectly ramp, also good stuff. There you go. Next is Miss Monday. 3 cost 5,000 power. If your leader includes Baroque Works, give up to one of your leader or characters plus 1,000 power during this turn. It's an on-play ability. And the trigger ability is Dawn -1, play this card. So good in a sense, definitely playable because you can trigger, play it out for free. And because it's Dawn -1, you can use with Crocodile's ability, draw a card. And giving your leader plus 1k power during your opponent's turn could be substantially good as well. And if not, you just play it out on turn 3, swing in for 6k. Miss Monday, let's go. Alright, next up we got Minochiwawa. 4 cost 5,000 power with Rush. And on KO, if your leader has the Impel Down type, add up to 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck and rest it. Another great card for potentially Magellan to play. I feel like, you know, all these Rush cards are coming because Sakazuki is a problem. But yeah, this is a great card that you could potentially play with not only Magellan, but you can play it with Hannibal. And you can return it to your hand and then set it as and ramp again so that you can protect it and then play it out again, swing for 4 cost 5,000. It's like Firefighter Magnus. Yeah. Interesting card. Definitely playable for this one. Yeah, Minochiwawa. That's good. Alright, next up, it's 3 cost 4. Oh wait, you can play this out with Sadie. Yeah, as well. Just want to make that point. Next up, we got Mr. 9. 3 cost 4,000 power, counter 1,000. On opponent's attack, once per turn, Dawn -1, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with 2 costs or lower. So, very difficult card to judge, but it is dependent. Okay, first thing, you got a Dawn -1. You got to make sure it's on your opponent's attack, and you got to make sure that they have a character with cost 2 or lower. This is a good way to kind of get rid of searchers if this is on the field, but your opponent can easily play around that. But if there's a meta game like Momonosuke searchers coming back with Odin, Juri Wani with the Supernovas, then you could potentially just play this out as a deterrent for your opponents, because anytime they attack, you just Dawn -1 and you KO the searcher, or you KO the 1 cost blocker. Yeah, potentially. Maybe, okay, playable as a tech piece. That's what I'm gonna rate it as. Another weapon for Crocodile. Alright, next up, and this I would say is my favorite card, one of my favorite cards from the set, and one of the event cards that I feel would definitely switch up any Baroque Works purple leader moving forward, because it's Okamawe. 1 cost, counter, Dawn -1. If your leader has Baroque Works in its types, choose one of your characters, changes the attack target to the selected character. So from, okay, trigger ability, Dawn -1, draw 2 cards. That's great. From my understanding, even if your character is active, you can still switch the target to that card. So let's say your opponent wants to go and I've seen a gameplay, I've seen the recent gameplay on the official Japanese YouTube channel. Go watch it and then come back to this video, because they like Gavin's blue purple crocodile deck actually makes use of Baroque Works in such a beautiful way, because even though his blockers were rested, and specifically the Miss All Sunday blocker from OP01, Okama Way can redirect your opponent's finishing attack to that rested blocker, and then you can still trigger the on KO ability. This card is actually really bonkers good, and I think it's gonna be a new 4-off and could potentially bring blue purple crocodile on top with just single-handedly one event card. I mean, of course the other cards do improve it as well, but Okama Way is really quite good. Next up, we got Ragnarok. 5 costs, event card, main, Dawn -1. KO up to one of your opponent's characters with cost of 5 or less. The trigger ability is open, I think get 1 Dawn as active. Yeah, I mean, potentially, Purple Luffy hasn't been making waves in the metagame right now in OP06 and going to EB01, but this could be a way for it to kind of combat some of the higher costed stuff out there. Potentially, yeah. I would try it out. I would try this out in Purple Luffy, maybe 2 copies, see how it works. It's a playable event card, but also meta dependent. So we gotta wait and see. Any purple base decks can use this as well. I mean, even Crocodile can use this. Magellan can use this. If the meta calls for it, this would be a really brilliant tech piece to put inside your decks. Yeah, I like it. Playable tech piece. Alright, now we're moving to the black cards. 2 more colors to go. Not a lot of cards, not that many cards left. But let's go and start with Crocus. 100% playable. Play this card. 6 cost, 8,000 power, counter 1,000. Former Roger Pirates. Best moment in the anime. The running gag for Crocus. Brilliant. Next up, we got Scarlet. 2 cost, 0 power with counter 1000. Activate main. You may trash this character. Play up to 1 Dressrosa type character card other than Scarlet with a cost of 3 or less from your hand as rested. Then give up to one of your opponent's characters cost -2 during this turn. So it's a way to give something -2. It's a way for you to play out a Kairos from your hand if you want to. I need to see more and how this card work in a Dressrosa type deck. I'm sure there's other 3 cost cards that you can use. You can play this with on play minus cost like Hina potentially could, but you can already do it with Rebecca. This is kind of like Rebecca a little bit, except it plays a little bit differently. Playable, but I need to see where and what cards would benefit the most from the playing of -3, playing of the 3 cost, sorry, and then giving something -2. But yeah, definitely a playable card. Alright, next up we got Spandine. 3 cost, 2,000 power with 1,000 power, with counter 1,000. On play, you may return 3 cards with CP in its types from your trash to the bottom of your deck in any order. Play up to 1 cost 4 or lower card with CP in its type other than spend in from your trash as rested. So this card actually can work really well with Rebecca, right? Because you can Rebecca, return this to your hand, play it out, and then you can use this ability, return 3 cards, and then play out Rob Lucci. So yeah, this card can definitely see some play. There's a lot of other CP stuff. It's like Air Door, essentially, a little bit. Then you can play it out rested, but still on the field. So this with the new Rob Lucci leader that's coming to OP07, but CP0 could be, CP9 could use as well. I like that it didn't specifically say CP9, it's a CP. So yeah, playable. Gotta wait for more combos with this card. I'm sure there's a lot of weird stuff that you can do with Spandine as well. So there you go. And speaking of which, there's Frankfried. 1 cost, 1,000 power, counter 1,000. Activate main, you may rest this character, give it to one of your Spandom characters plus 3,000 power during this turn. Yeah, you can use this. There is a Spandom Searcher for CP9 that you can use this to power it up. But why would you? Why would you do that? I mean, Frankfried is cute. Don't give power to Spandom. Get him out of here. Anyway, fringe playable, I would say. Alright, we got 2 Brook cards in EB01. So first of all, it's 3 cost, 4,000 power. We counter 1,000. part of the Rumba Pirates. So this is not a Straw Hat Crew card, it's a Rumba Pirates. On play, if your opponent has a 0 cost character, this character gains Rush. Okay, could be good. Could be good in a, Kairos wants something to be 0 cost as well. Smoker wants that as well, so potentially could be good. But I'm gonna put as unplayable, just because you don't want a character that has an ability that is dependent on a cost of something. I think that those kind of cards are not as good as, like, dependency on other cards, not as good. But this Brook, yeah, 3 cost, 4000 power, counter 1000 on play, and when attacking, give it to one of your opponent's characters -1 cost for this turn. Then KO up to one of your opponent's 0 cost characters. This is playable for sure because you can use it with Gecko Moria. You can use it on its own. You can reduce cost. You're in black, you can reduce costs with so many things, and this gives an additional -1. And then you get to KO the character. So yeah, Brook definitely playable. Speaking of which, we got Laboon. We got small Laboon. 2 cost, 4000 power. We can see Brook right over there. Once per turn, when a character is KO, draw 1 card and trash 1 card from your hand. Interesting card. You can have it on the field as like a mini stage card. And then when the character is KO, you draw 1 and trash 1. Fringe playable. Most likely not going to see play. But this Laboon is pretty good. 4 cost, 5000 power, equal to 1000. Activate main, you may rest this character, give up to one of your opponent's characters, cost -4 for this turn. It is, yeah, it's really good, I would say. You can play this out. Can you? No, you can get this back with Rebecca, but you can't play it out with her ability. But you can get this back into your hand. Yeah, giving something -4 just by resting it. There are ways to kind of cheat this out with Gecko Moria as well. Yeah, that is good. Laboon is good. I think I already said that, but yeah, Laboon's good. Next, we got T-Bone. 5 cost, 5000 power, cut to 2000. On play, K up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 2 or less. So yeah, definitely playable card. Not only is a 2000 counter, but a way for, it's a removal. As long as you have something with 2 costs or less in black, pretty easy. You can use this as an extra removal. If not, it's a 2k counter. Playable for sure. And this card should have been the manga of OPO3. Anyway, it's I Want to Live. 3 costs, counter. If the number of cards in your trash is 30 or more, place the top card of your deck on top of your life. So I get it. Like, I get, like, you want to live because you want to get more life. But no deck besides Nami probably will have like 30 or more cards in trash, especially in black. When you're playing something like Rob Lucci, you're playing something like Gecko Moria, you're probably not going to have 30 or more cards in your trash. So yeah, not a playable card, though I really love this moment, and I wish we had more Nico Robin from Moto 7. Anyway, next is Finger Gun. That's right. 4 costs, event card main, you may trash the top 2 cards of your deck, KO up to one of your opponent's cost 5 or less characters. Trigger abilities activate these cards' main effect. Yeah, pretty interesting. Another form of removal, and in black as well, and you can use it to fuel the cards in your trash. So there are ways that this is good. If you can't find your Rob Lucci, you can find Finger Gun and then get rid of one thing at least. In black, you can reduce cost even further, and it's just a great event card that you can potentially use in any black deck, especially a Rob Lucci one. Alright, we are moving into the yellow cards. I think there's only 10 more cards left. So starting with Viola, we've talked about Viola. 2 cost, 0 power with counter 1000, blocker, on play, choose one of the following. Look at all of your opponent's life, then return them in any order, which is really good against opposing yellow decks. Or turn all of your life cards face down. You can use this in Black Yellow Luffy as well to you can put 2 cards into your life that have trigger, and then you can use Viola to turn it face down so that it won't be sent to the bottom of the deck. You can just play it out and trigger the ability. So in that sense, it's good. Viola, there's a lot of users with this card, and I think that it's a good tech piece against certain decks in the metagame right now. Yellow decks, black, yellow, anything from SD13 you could potentially use as well. So yeah, that's good. Next we got Gangster Castino, yo. 3 cost 5000 power. With on play, place up to one of your opponent's cost 3 or lower characters to the top or bottom of their life face up. Your opponents, sorry. Could be a potential removal. Right now, I think Katakuri doesn't really need, because Red Green Law is not making rounds in the meta game as much. But if it does come back and you want to kind of prevent the early aggression, Gastino could potentially be used. Unfortunately, it has a scientist sub trait, not Big Mom Pirates, not like Beige Pirates or anything, but it has the trigger ability of give up to 2 of your opponents' leader or characters minus 3000 power, which could be interesting, could come in handy. I would say this is a playable tech piece. Yeah, so when the time comes for yellow that they need something like this, if they don't have the Gadatsu or something like that, you could use this potentially. Next, we got Ganfall, Sky Island card. 3 cost 4000 power, counter 1000. It has blocker. And on play, if your opponent has 1 or less life, KO up to one of your opponent's cost 3 or lower characters. So this would be good against Eno, because they will usually be at 1 or less life. And you can KO something that's 3 costs, like I'm thinking on the top of my head right now. I don't know, some NO players do run Parasparrow, the Big Mom package, so you can use this, get rid of what's that? Holy. Yeah, but other than that, don't really see this being played much. It's the same as Gastino. It's like a solid tech piece if the meta game calls for it. But other than that, I don't think this will be seeing as much play as the other yellow cards. Now, speaking of which, we got Charlotte Compote. We got 7 cost 9000 power vanilla, counter 1000. Pretty decent. I mean, if you want to go for the big vanilla Katakuri route, you can potentially just play this and then like have 3 7 cost mom and then 1 Charlotte Compote. I think 7 cost mom is still the objectively better card, but this could be a, you can slot it in if you want to. Next, we got Charlotte Flampe. 1 cost 1000 power with counter 2000. On play, you may add 1 card from the top or bottom of your life cards to your hand and then draw 1 card. Essentially, you're drawing 2 cards, 1 from your life, 1 from your deck. And this card has an alternate art and has 2000 counter. Big Mom Pirates players will play this. It's a playable card. If you want to bling out your deck, this is a good 2k counter to replace some of the 2k counters out there. Specifically Pudding, but yeah. Next is Shirahoshi, 2 cost 0 power with counter 1000. When this character is KO'd by your opponent's effects, place up to 1 card from the top of your deck onto your life. So if this is KO'd by a Rob Lucci, for example, you get to gain 1 and has blocker. Great card. Playable for sure. We already talked about Shirahoshi, so now let's move on because the video is getting really long, almost 1 hour. 2 costs 3000. It's Mont Blanc Cricket. 2 cost 3000 power, counter 1000. Turn 1, your turn. If you have 2 or less life, this character gains plus 2000 power. Part of the Saruyama Alliance. Interesting. So yeah, this is, I mean, coincidentally, this actually works well with Enel because you have 1 life and then you get 5k, 6k, which is kind of weird that this is good with Enel. But yeah, I would say it's unplayable in the sense that I don't think they will play this card. You probably wouldn't play this kind of stat line with this kind of ability in a yellow base deck. Usually you want to rely on more powerful cards with more powerful effects. So yeah, unfortunately, non-playable card. But now let's move on to the last 2 event cards, which is Raigo. 6 costs event card with main, KO up to one of your opponent's characters, then trash the top card of your life, cards. So your life total becomes 1. Okay. Trigger ability is KO up to one of your opponent's characters with cost equal to or less than you and your opponent's total life cards. So the trigger ability is kind of like Yamato's effect, but the main ability, pretty interesting. Don't think it's gonna be used as much because yes, you can get to that 1 life total as Enel really fast if you want to, or if you're at 2 life, like you can trash 1 and then KO something for 6 costs. I would say this is fringe playable. I don't know whether Enel players or any yellow players for that matter would want to have such a big powerful event card but with a huge drawback. So gotta wait and see whether Enel wants to potentially use this. I think some Enel players would try it out, but I don't think it's that good of a card. There are other removals out there, but this can KO anything. in your opponent's side of the field. So interesting, but yeah, I think fringe playable is where I'll put it. And last event card is I Am God. 4 cost event card main, put up to 1 cost 7 or NL, 7 or less NL from your hand or trash into play, then trash the top card of your life card so your life total becomes 1. Trigger ability is draw 2 and trash 1 from your hand. This, on the other hand, pretty interesting. I mean, you can, on turn 2, you can go ham and just play an NL from your hand or from the trash. If it's in your trash, okay. If it's your hand, you pay for Dawn, play this, you trash 3 life, play an NL. Turbo NL deck list, anyone? I mean, you can. I'm not saying it's a bad play. I'm just saying it's a super risky play because you are trashing 3 cards. You're not going to put that card in your hand. If you are, if it says like, put the 3 cards into your hand until your life becomes 1, then it's another thing. But I think this is trashing, so it's going straight to your trash, so you're probably not gonna see those cards. But you get a 7 cost NL. Any high roll NL player playing this, I would respect the hell out of them. It's go big or go home. Most of the time you're going home. But yeah, interesting event card, fringe playable, I would say. Only for those with really huge cojones. And lastly is Mr. 2, Bond Clay. We already talked about this secret rare, but it's 4 cost 1000 power, we count to 1000. And on play, you get to ramp, add up to 1 Dawn from Dawn deck is active. And when attacking, you can choose one of your opponent's characters. This character has the same base power as the chosen character for this turn. Makes attacking into characters really easily. Really easy. You can put Dawns onto Mr. Bon Chan and then attack over the character as well. So yeah, definitely a playable card. I think this might be the first or one of the first few in a while, a secret rare that you potentially would want to play set off, because you can use this in Red Purple Luffy. You can use this in a lot of cards, a lot of decks, even like Red Purple Law. You can potentially use this as well if you want to ramp back up, and then I don't know, can do a lot of things with this. But yeah, definitely a playable card, and that's it. That's every single card from EB01 into one video, less than an hour. Man, this is a long video. So if you have watched all the way till here, if you're listening to it in the background while you're working, thank you so much for watching this. Tomorrow is EB01's release. Tomorrow, Saturday, I can't remember. Probably gonna open up 1 or 2 boxes and then put it up. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed me rambling for the past hour about EB01. A lot of great standout cards, a lot of great powerful cards that will boost certain archetypes. I'm really thinking that people will definitely try out Blue Purple Crocodile. I'm thinking like Odin's gonna take one of the spotlight in the upcoming meta game. Kairos as well. Kairos definitely. But I think overall, even though each color has their own respective winners, I think Black has a lot of powerful cards, especially Brook, especially Laboon. But Purple, Okama Way, my favorite event card. This card is good. I can't wait to play Purple. Can't wait to use this card. I need to be Baroque works. Yeah, I'm gonna play. I'm not sure if we're gonna play Crocodile, but yeah, that's just a good event card. Anyway, that's it for me for today. Hope you guys enjoyed this long rambling session about EB01. Thank you so much, One Piece Top Decks, for having all of the effects of the cards on their page. Go check them out for not only the cards, but for the top decks in One Piece. Yeah, see you guys at the EB01 opening happening either tomorrow or on Saturday. Yeah, see you guys till the next one. Peace.